Dricus Du Plessis just executed a brilliant game plan at UFC 305 to beat a very motivated and dialed in Israel Adesanya. Guys, this is one of the most impressive performances that we've had in a title fight this year. I know Belal Muhammad just put on an unbelievable fight against Leon Edwards, but for a champ to defend the belt the way DDP did against Israel Adesanya, nothing shy of absolutely spectacular. And we're going to have to talk about Morne Visser, the coach of Dricus Du Plessis, being coach of the year. But we'll get to that in this video. If you're looking for my full card recap, I'll link that down below. I wanted to make a separate video talking only about this fight because what we saw, not only was that an unbelievable fight by both guys were dialed in, they were sharp, there was a lot of heat coming into it on this matchup. You know, the whole Africa rivalry, the press conference moments, this had a lot of heat on it. This was an unbelievable fight. We saw a very, very motivated Israel Adesanya, and I was expecting that. That's why originally I was like, look, I can see Izzy coming into this, getting a finish against DDP. His back's to the wall. He's coming off a loss over Strickland, which was kind of an embarrassing loss. He comes in here, I was like, he's going to be a lot more forward. He's going to dig his feet in. He's going to look to really try to put it on DDP, and Izzy looked fast. He looked sharp. He looked dangerous. His boxing looked better than ever. But it just didn't matter, man. Dricus Du Plessis, 2 out of 3 judges heading into that 4th round had DDP up on the scorecards. And he implemented a perfect game plan. And you got to give credit to Coach Morne Visser because, look, you can have an outstanding fighter. And yes, a lot of that is on the fighter. They have to have the skills. They have to have the capabilities and you know, the abilities to go out there and do that. But the game plans every time, and this is why I switched my prediction to DDP heading into fight week, because I'm like, look, I'm watching these fights back, and every single fight, no matter how it looks, DDP finds a way to win, whether it looks fantastic, whether it looks ugly, whether it looks, I mean, it doesn't matter. He wins. He finds a way to win. And every fight that we've seen, it's similar, but yet very different. And we've seen that he will take the fight to wherever he has a significant advantage or where he feels he has an advantage. And like I told you guys coming into this fight, Izzy was going to be dialed in. And if he was going to win this fight, it was going to have to be a KO inside the early rounds because as the fight plays out, DDP is not going to slow down. He's not going to slow down. He is a brute force. He's a tank. He's a machine that just keeps on moving forward. And what we saw against Robert Whittaker and what we saw against Sean Strickland, which the reason I want to talk about those fights is because those are 2 of the high-level fights that we saw DDP fight, right? When he fought Derek Brunson and Till, people were like, but that's Brunson, that's Till. But when you go out there and you starch Robert Whittaker, that's impressive. I mean, that's incredibly impressive. Then you go out there against Sean Strickland, who's been making everyone he's find a way to get, Sean Strickland, ever since he's been at middleweight, has been a hard fight for most guys. And you go out there and land a lot of significant shots and hurt Sean Strickland. You're able to take him down. You're able to bloody him up. And we just haven't seen that. We haven't seen that. And DDP just has an answer for everybody right now. It's the well-roundedness. It's the pressure. It's the cardio. It's everything that he is able to do is a lot to deal with. And what we've seen from DDP in the Whittaker and Strickland fights, where I was going with that, is I mentioned to you guys leading up to this fight, the first round, DDP, especially in these 5-round fights, even in the 3-round fights, he's the same way. He's very, very cautious. He relies on the high guard. He's there in range. He's not necessarily taking a backward step, but he kind of gives you a false sense of security like, I'm controlling the range. I'm moving forward. I'm backing you up. And DDP kind of like accepts it a little bit. He stands his ground, but he's not overly aggressive. And what he's doing is he's starting to pick up his reads. He's starting to he doesn't want to open himself up to be countered because a lot of the guys that you're going to fight in this division, they got some dangerous striking, they got power in their hands, and he doesn't want to open himself up to be countered. And we saw that. He landed some good shots. He was right in there in the striking with Izzy Adesanya, but Izzy looked fast, he looked dangerous, and DDP knew that Izzy was going to come out aggressive. He knew he was going to come out aggressive in this fight, and you saw it. You could see in the energy and attitude, and DDP's like, okay, I'm going to play it cautious. I'm just going to kind of, keep it easy here. And then in the second round, you saw him willing to stand in the first round. You saw, kind of the game plan there. And then in the second round, it was all about the wrestling, all about the grappling. So why I say credit to the coach of DDP, What an amazing game plan. Come in the first round, make it look like it's going to be a kickboxing fight. You kind of look like you're going to mix it up in the second round. Full-blown wrestling almost. I believe it was the second round. Just comes out and is just, totally different game plan. It's like a different fighter. He's like, I'm wrestling at all costs, mixing it up, wearing on Izzy a little bit, doing a really good job controlling him. Izzy, again, wiry, really hard to keep down, which I anticipated. I'm like, look, DDP's not just going to be able to lay on him for 5 rounds. Adesanya's hard to hold down. He's wiry, he's squirmy, and he was working on the strength coming into this fight. So I'm like, I think he's going to be able to fend off the takedowns pretty well, and he was, in all fairness to Adesanya. But then we got to see, as the fight plays out, Izzy kind of started to slow down a little bit. And with DDP, the foot just starts to accelerate more on the gas. It's like a marathon with DDP. He starts to build as the fight goes. And it's so dangerous when you have a guy that has that kind of skill set, is that well-rounded, has that much power, has submissions, is able to do everything, and he gets better as the fight goes. Like, that is a terrifying thing, especially in a heavier weight class like middleweight. And that's just what he was able to do to Israel Adesanya. He was able to break him down. And I don't think he broke Israel Adesanya. I just think he broke him down in terms of the game planning and the way he was able to wear on him. He was able to keep him guessing. He was able to pick at him with the leg kicks, the body kicks, kicks to the head. He was giving him so much to think about. And every time Izzy would start to land some good shots, DDP would explode forward on a blitz. But again, he blitzed very intelligently. He wasn't like chaotically just rushing forward across the octagon like that. You know what I mean? He was doing it in bursts because he knew if I just continuously, recklessly move forward, Izzy will angle off and catch me with those nasty hooks that we've seen him land on a guy like Robert Whittaker back in the day. So he knew he had to be cautious, but he picked his windows of opportunity to explode. He did an incredible job. He was throwing that high kick to kind of keep Adesanya on edge. He was mixing up his targets. It was an absolutely brilliant fight by Dricus Du Plessis. And make no mistake about it, that was one of the best versions of Israel Adesanya that we've ever seen. I don't care what anybody says. I will die on that hill. Israel Adesanya looked fantastic last night. He did. He was fast, he was sharp, his boxing, the way he was digging to the body, and nothing fazed DDP. At times, I'm like, oh, is DDP tired? And then I'm like, wait a minute, this is DDP, man. His body language is strange, it's misleading, and I think it was even confusing Izzy in there to where Izzy thought he kind of had him a little bit, and then DDP would crack him with a shot, and you just saw the way that Adesanya was able to chain things together. He was able to mix it up. He just kind of has a different style in each round. It was a lot for Izzy to deal with, and I think as the fight progressed, as we saw into the 4th round, Adesanya just was starting to doubt himself a little bit. I think he was starting to doubt himself. He's like, man, this guy, he's tough. He doesn't stop. He's not going to stop coming. He just keeps moving forward. He's mixing everything together. Like, I don't know what to do here because he's grappling, he's striking, he's throwing head kicks, he's doing this and that, and he's switching stances, and he's giving me all these different looks. And DDP has such a good high guard, and he's just so compact, and it just, and that's to finish up here. Morne Visser he has to be coach of the year, in my opinion. The coach of DDP. I mean, this guy, he's taking some flack, right, because of the taser and all these different things that I joke around and I say, look, this guy's probably into some weird stuff, which I still think he might be. This guy is a brilliant mind inside MMA. He's a brilliant mind inside of MMA because, look, the fighter, they're the guy that's in there doing the work. And again, when you get in there to a fight, everything kind of goes blank because it's like you don't really hear anything. Maybe you hear the crowd a little bit, but you're like zoned in on the fight. And sometimes we see guys steer away from a game plan, like a Michael Chandler or somebody that just kind of throws caution to the wind. DDP is so disciplined in there. And you hear the way he talks about his coach. He's like, I listen to everything he says. And they had, I was listening to an interview of Morne Visser. He says, look, coming into this fight, we have multiple different plans. In case this doesn't work, we have a plan. In case this doesn't work, we have a plan. And what you saw was the first round, like I said, patient, kickbox. Second round, we're just going to wrestle you. Then 3rd round, we'll mix it up. 4th round, we'll mix it up. And then now at that point, if you're Israel Adesanya, your brain scrambled. You're like, I don't know what this guy's going to do. I'm reacting. He's taking me down. He's standing. He's throwing head kicks. It was just a masterful and well-executed game plan by Dricus Du Plessis. I think I'm putting my stamp on it, nomination for Coach of the Year. If I could give it out, if I was giving the award, it goes to head coach Morne Visser. If Morne somehow sees this video, that'd be cool. But, shout out to him, man. He is unbelievable. The game planning, the way that they have been able to just work with Dricus Dricus Du Plessis, take his unique skill set, add all of these things together, and formulate game plans to beat all of these different. I mean, Robert Whittaker is a world-class fighter, really well-rounded. They were very cautious in the first round. They gave Rob the false sense of security of, oh, I'm doing really well. And then against Strickland, that was a close fight, but getting to him, extending the combinations, and then here with Adesanya, mixing in the takedowns. Just brilliant game planning. And like I said, DDP, what I love about this guy is not only, shout out to the South African fans. I was just saying this last night. On my live stream, I have never seen a fan base so loyal and so backing to a fighter like this. It is unbelievable to watch. I'm very happy for the South African fans because, look, DDP took a lot of heat in the UFC. People are like, this guy sucks. He's not good. How is he winning? And now it's at the point where he has a unique style that is maybe not the most aesthetically pleasing, but it gets the job done. He looks unstoppable. I'll be curious to see what's next. Is it going to be Strickland? Is it going to be Whittaker or Chimaev? That is yet to be seen. It sounds like Dana wants to go to South Africa and do a fight. I hope that they do that because I think that the South African fans deserve it. But I want to hear from you all down in the comments. Like this video. Comment your thoughts on the performance of DDP and Adesanya in this fight. And then let me know who you guys think DDP will be facing next. Do you think it's Strickland? Do you think it's Whittaker? Do you think it's Chimaev? Because either way, DDP is always willing to fight whoever the UFC puts in front of him, which you have to respect no matter what side of the fence you're on here. But I'm glad I switched my pick to DDP, man, because he came through. So shout out to DDP. Incredible performance. But like this video, sub to the channel, help your boy out. I would appreciate it. See you next time.